This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We're now on the final day on the countdown, so day 3 of TRICS, and we are here actually early morning for a convention like this. It's, 9:30? Approximately, yeah. So that's why it's kind of quiet right now, but I've got Joe Daniels with me, and he's one of the dealers and also one of the people behind TRICS, so good morning, Joe.
It's a pleasure to have you, Scott.
Thanks for helping with the rest of the Slight Club in hosting this thing. It was a lot of fun. That's why I came last year, and this year you had 30%, you said, were all new people?
40%. Which is unheard of, but it's wonderful having that many new people exposed. So. And
I had mentioned on the podcast last evening, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like a large percentage were women this year. A lot of young ladies that were here.
We have had terrific representation, and I think part of that is down to how much Slight Club members like Tiffany Allen and Lauren Cohen have contributed and are contributing in the Magic mainstream. I think they do a wonderful job representing our brand and certainly bringing in new females to sort of get an idea of what it's like to be among equals and to be treated as such, because there's a lot of dinosaurs in the industry that still aren't quite awake. So.
That's true. Slowly going away, but and the others coming in, it seems like, and making for a thriving new kind of world, for us. I think it's great. Speaking of which, that, of course, you and I have been seeing each other a lot more this year. It seemed like ever before. Yeah. There's so many different conventions and everything. And so you're one of the dealers here then also with Arcane?
Arcane Relics and Chris Sipes. And even at a sleight of hand primary convention, a little bizarre tends to crop up every now and again.
As it should, a little bit. And the dealers, they have how many? About 12 people or so, 8 or 10? How many?
Actually, we only have 9 this year, and it's been a good fit for the room. Last year, we had so many that we had several of the dealers in an overflow room, and a lot of people don't expect 2 dealers' rooms, so that always works against certain dealers. And I think we've got a really diverse group, and there's no standard general Magic dealers here. Everybody has a very specific thing, and it seems to complement the convention very well in terms of the diversity of our talent.
When I was talking with Scott Robinson on the first evening, he was telling me about how they had to do a lot of scrambling because some people had some other obligations or something came up, or for whatever reason, quite a few people had to be swapped out that were not originally booked, and the talent is tremendous that he got that replaced these people. I mean, it was great to begin with, but it's equal what he got. Did he come to you and other guys, I guess, on the committee and say, hey, can you help me? You know anybody? Or what do you think? Have you got a contact? Or how did that work? Were you involved with that?
He always solicits Slight Club's advice, especially with a last-minute cancellation, which thankfully does not happen often. But Scott's reputation in the industry is such that the minute he was in need and a call went out, of course we found good people, because he is connected with every magician on the planet, and he's so well respected.
He really is. He is. And yesterday was really great, and I'm looking forward to today. One of the people I haven't seen at a convention very often is, and there's some of the people we do see fairly regularly, and I say like David Regal and Gregory Wilson to a degree. I mean, they're not regulars, but more often than Jackie Yu. Jackie is going to be here tonight, and so I'm excited about seeing his lecture and performance.
It's the first trip he's made to the Carolinas, and we're really pleased to have him, and just an immense creative talent. His social media game is so strong, it's almost unprecedented in Magic.
Well, and that helps also.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think there are some people who came just to see him?
Oh, yes. He has spent some time actually touring Charlotte because, this is all new to him.
That's why I didn't see him yesterday.
And you didn't see him most of the convention, and then when he showed up last night, you knew who the quote-unquote Instagram magicians were, because they just surged around him, and they wouldn't even let him sit down. He literally stood in the lobby for 2 hours.
Well, I saw him on the first night when I got here Thursday, and chatted briefly and said, we'll talk later tomorrow, and then he was gone. As you said, he was touring around. Then last night, couldn't get near him.
No, but it was amazing to see, and clearly a lot of the younger magicians just idolize him because the amount of fanboying and girling that was happening was shocking.
I don't know if you know Lonnie Chevry or not, but Lonnie in Texas had actually sent me a text. He said, I'm so jealous that you're there. I said, Jackie Yu is there. He said, he is one of my favorites. Now, Lonnie is one of my favorites. And let me say, for those of you who don't know Lonnie Chevry, I'll just give you one quick story about him. And he was, in his lecture, was teaching this dollar bill trick. And I had showed that to Johnny Thompson, and Johnny said, that's the best bill trick I have ever seen. Yeah.
You're going to have to teach me this when we go off.
So anyhow, the point is, the guy is great, and I'm excited, as are a lot of other people.
Oh, absolutely.
And so typically on Saturday nights, they have the public come in. So how does that work as far as does he sell tickets, or just tell people, hey, we're going to be open, or how does Scott advertise that?
Well, this is our 13th year doing TRICS at this hotel, and there were even a few years before that, before Scott actually took over running the convention. And we have always made sure that we pre-sold at least 30 seats so that the primary audience that's right around the magician in the principal area are lay people, because their reactions to magic are very different, because you can definitely tell when it's an all magic crowd, because when a really good move or that special thing happens, we tend to applaud or gasp at the wrong moment, and it'll throw a seasoned performer's timing right off. And they love coming here because you get the most natural, just awestruck reactions. And for the longest time, Scott would say, okay, guys, it's time to start selling tickets. But now we've been doing it for so many years that they were practically sold out the day he had the tickets printed. And we went to him and said, okay, how many tickets can I get? And he's like, we're completely out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That is saying a lot about this. Now, the people who typically come, it seems like they were from school or hospital, or different people who were associates or people who had worked with some of the guys, I guess, the Slight Club, because they were the ones selling the tickets. And so.
A lot of them, some of the Slight Club spouses, like Minka Taylor, Bob Taylor's wife, she works at a school, and her principal, his nickname is Stump.
That was it. Stump was here last
Stump
year.
is the perfect audience member. He is as genuine. I cannot remember the name of the fella that was on all the L&L videos. That
I
was
know
just,
exactly who you're talking about.
That was just astounded with everything.
What is that? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
Over
Has
the top.
such genuine joy
exactly.
in magic. And we were told Stump wouldn't be here this year. And then yesterday, he had moved heaven and earth with his schedule and canceled like a principal's conference to be here.
Yeah.
So we're delighted to have Stump back tonight.
There was a lady also sitting in the front row, Andrea or somebody, I can't remember her name, but she was an assistant also and had helped then yesterday. Actually, she's been called on several times, and I can see why, because whatever somebody does, I mean, her jaw, it couldn't be closer to the ground.
No, Amanda, and she's actually married to a Slight Club member. You'd think she would be used to this stuff by now, but she's amazing. And what's more, she's gotten bitten by the bug, and she's actually learning some magic, and has remarkably moved just through some stuff that's really knacky. So I hope she never loses that genuine joy that you see when she watches someone perform.
One last question. Since you've been coming for so many years and been involved intimately on this, I'm sure from year to year there's a different vibe and kind of up and down, as every convention kind of seems like, there's this year, last year was fantastic. That's what brought me back. It's like, wow, there's something going on here. I want to be part of this. And I feel that same thing this year. Is there something or somebody perhaps that, like at the 4F convention, we have a most valuable performer, award, and so and you don't do that here necessarily because there's so many people who contribute, or do you?
Actually, we do.
Oh, okay.
We do. I don't know if you remember him because he did frequent a lot of Southern conventions, but there was a fellow by the name of Woody Landers.
Oh, I remember Woody. Sure, of course.
And Woody was the guy. If there was this knacky Slight that you just reading, it was like, what is this, Woody? And Woody would just make it look easy, and then he would spend hours showing you, if necessary. I mean, he was the most giving guy.
Yeah.
And tragically, we lost him way, way too soon. And we do the Woody Landers Award, which is a picture of Woody inside an impossible bottle. And I actually make the award.
Oh, wow.
And because, again, Poe inside a bottle is a big part of my own show. And Scott's like, could you put Woody, like in a bottle, because we both treasure the memories of us when we were younger, learning from him. But we do that, and that is voted on by the entirety of the convention.
So
all these 10 days. Yeah, we hand out ballots, and
I'd forgotten that last year.
It is given to the person that has made the convention the most special to you. The only rule there is you cannot nominate a Slight Club member, because we're the organizing committee, and honestly, Scott would have probably won half the awards hands down, because he does so much. The other award is Beam's Baton, which is presented to the best trick that any of us have seen. And that one is generally voted on by Slight Club, and it's this gorgeous handmade wooden wand that Ivana Evans does, and that's Celeste Evans' daughter.
As a suggestion, you might slip that into the minds of people, since you're emceeing some of these shows, to say, by the way, for you new members, you may not know, or new member registrants.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that you might be thinking, don't let this slide by. Think about who you saw yesterday, who you're going to be seeing today, because we're going to be having a vote on these two different awards. So that way they actually have somebody in mind. They're not just sitting there just seeing the last person they saw.
Of course. I honestly, that's a great suggestion. I'll make sure Scott does that before we start the session this morning.
Okay. And speaking of the session this morning, before I let you go, that the first one up today is
our guest of honor, Steve Beam from here in North Carolina. And Steve, boy, you cannot watch this man without busting a gut laughing. He is one of the funniest men in magic, and the only thing that is more impressive is that he can take these hugely procedural tricks, especially card tricks, and make them so entertaining. He's one of my favorites.
Yep, mine too. He is hilarious. And I was going to talk to him a while ago, but he was on the elevator getting ready to leave, and I didn't want to interrupt because I thought, well, we need to chat just a little bit longer, certainly, but also he's preparing for this lecture. And then we have some other people coming up today as we talk about JECA later today. But anyhow, as the day goes on, we'll be speaking with some other people, but I just want to sit down, Joe, with you for a minute and kind of get a little perspective, I guess, from your inside as an organizer to let the rest of the people kind of know what they're missing out on, and next year they should really register early.
Absolutely. We normally shut off registrations at about 160, and we've found in years past Scott doesn't even have to announce who's coming. We will sell out regardless.
And one year you actually did that.
We did. It was for our 10th year. We decided to make everything a total surprise.
Yeah, and it was still sold out.
Absolutely.
Much like Magic Live was, I guess.
Oh, yes.
All the time. Joe, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Fun time. Always good to see you, my friend.
Well, it's wonderful to have the Magic Word Podcast represented here. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it.
You bet. And so with the Magic Word Podcast. That was Joe Daniels. This is Scotty out. Before the C-Beam lecture begins, I want to chat with someone here who was on yesterday's bill, not only gave a lecture, but also was part of the Insights, which talk about the Carbonaro effect. And he's just got a ton of material, so much so that we could have still been here today talking about your stuff.
My wife doesn't want to talk to me about magic, so I come here and I see friendly people.
Who are interested.
Well, at least they pretend they are, so I just don't shut the hell up.
And that's the voice of David Regal. Hey, David, so glad to see you here this year.
Good to see you, as always.
It's a lot of fun at this convention, and you've been every place. I mean, you've been around, you've been very accessible and sharing.
Well, this convention, and it's not the only convention that has nice people, but there are nice people here. And I came here maybe 10 or 11 years ago, and I remember having a particularly good time. I met Harry Anderson. I never knew Harry Anderson, and he was at this convention, and unless I'm misremembering, in which case I'm just saying something stupid, because Scott will say, Harry Anderson's never been to this convention, but I seem to remember him here. And just remembered having a great time. Everyone's kind of mellow. It's a convivial atmosphere. It's not a weird sense of people strutting their stuff. It's people sort of coming together and having a good time.
And a lot of, what I find great, are a lot of young people who are very creative, and they're sessioning all day and night, which a lot of these intimate conventions are like that.
We have to get rid of the young people. The idea is to get rid of the young people. They're ruining things for the rest of us.
They got all their hair, they're thin, they got skill. We need to get rid of them.
Oh, damn.
And so you had brought a few things, and you had the last couple of books. Are you going to complete a trilogy? Do you feel like this is almost undone? I mean, I can't imagine, because everything is in there. By the way, not just the tricks, but I love the essays about your friends, everything else you wrote in there. I think that's the part of the gold that people don't realize. That's just like an extra bonus, for your book.
I love the process of talking to these people and asking them, hopefully things they hadn't been asked 1,000 times before. And since it took me a while to do it, it took me about 5 years. It wasn't like a weekend, I'm going to contact all these people. It took me about 5 years, and some of it I did outside of my own country. The end result was some of these people have passed away, and like David Roth had this amazing interview because of him, not because of me, but he just started saying things I never heard come out of his mouth. And some things I had heard come out of his mouth, but a lot of things I hadn't. And Eugene Berger, I'm talking about people who have passed on since I interviewed them. Eugene said something that was both sweet and provocative.
What was that?
Well, I don't want to say too much, but it's about...
Buy the book.
No, I didn't mean it like that, but about when someone does something that you disapprove of. This is my theme music. Whenever I talk about Eugene Berger,
Pulp Fiction.
I have a team that follows me and plays the Eugene Berger theme. When people do work that's not good, what do you say to them? They're doing work, they've asked for it, what do you say to them? And his response to that angered some people, didn't anger me, but it's very interesting. It was really purely Eugene's voice. And basically, he said, when the choice, because he compared it also to his own relationship with his parents and the choices he made in his life.
Sounds more personal.
Well, it was very personal at the end. Because we're talking about magic, and I said, well, someone asking for advice. And he said, well, when it comes down to being honest or being kind, he opts for kindness. So that's a controversial thing to say. But what a Eugene thing to say.
It is perfectly him.
Yeah. And so I was really happy to be able to talk to these people, and some interesting people and some interesting things came out of their mouths, and I'm glad they're preserved.
Well, I mentioned a third book, and also...
Stop with the third book.
We have had COVID for 2 years. You've had nothing to do. You were blocked in,
Well, I started doing a column for a Genie every other month with some material in it, and I have no intention. Writing a book is just too much work.
Oh, I know.
But if I did this column for several years, there'd be enough material. And some of this material that's going to Genie, I kind of love. And not because it's recent, because I think maybe I'm a slow learner. And as I got older, I just understood things a little bit better and could tune them up a little bit better. And I'm not embarrassed for stuff I've done, but I think the stuff I do now has a slightly different flavor. And so I like a lot of the stuff I'm putting into Genie.
Now, as far as the Carbonaro effect goes, that's been 8 years, or how many years did they actually do that?
This is the Carbonaro theme. Stop the name dropping. That's off the air now because we did 5 years of it, then COVID happened, and it's the kind of show that requires seeing the face of the mark, and masks are the antithesis of seeing the face of the mark. So that they were talking about doing another season right up to lockdown, but then lockdown happened.
Right. And so with that, it hasn't been rejuvenated? I mean, now we're kind of slowly getting back. Are they talking about getting the band back together or anything?
I don't think so. Michael's got a very strong touring career.
At least you guys know each other.
That was close. I almost spilled my coffee because a beautiful woman bumped into my arm. They think they can do that. Young people and beautiful women. We have to get rid of all of them.
They feel as if they are entitled.
But Michael has a fantastic career touring now, and the show, we're all proud.
That wasn't his original plan. He didn't want to do TV in order to launch his personal tour, or
it just sort of happened.
Yeah,
I think it evolved, but I have to imagine he wanted to do what he's doing now, and doing the TV show, which had a lighthearted end result. Everyone that worked on the show will tell you it was an ordeal. Michael will tell you that. Anyone on the team will tell you that. It does seem like everyone's dancing through the daisies because the end's very funny, and Michael's so brilliantly lighthearted.
Yeah.
But it's actually an immense amount of work, and only because the whole team loved magic.
Yeah.
It worked out because basically we were pushing things to make that show work. And so I think Michael deserves all the success he has as a touring, celebrity magician or well-known magician, because to me the most fascinating thing about him is, he's great on the show and his ability to throw away the magic. And by that I mean not act like a magician.
Yeah.
Because in the context of the show, he cannot be perceived as a magician. Because if he is, we can't use the bit.
Right.
we just wasted the day.
And I thought it was amazing when you said there yesterday about how then every season, every episode, and how many tricks you have, like 8 different bits in a half-hour episode or 20 minutes or so. Not one card trick in any of that.
Yeah, or a trick that really is a card trick, but we're doing it with cheese slices.
Slices, yeah.
It's no card tricks.
Yeah.
And Michael, when he performs live, and he'll do 2,000-seat theaters, his personality is expansive.
That's what drives the show.
Yeah, and it's kind of the opposite of what he does on the TV show. He's very charming on the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
When he performs in front of a lot of people, it's not like he becomes artificial. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're there with him. You feel like you're spending time with Michael Carbonaro, not some guy running through a bunch of tricks.
He really breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah,
that's true. I was just thinking again, like Chris Angel had Mind Freak, and of course he had parlayed that into a big Vegas show, and been touring with the Supernaturals, and had on and off success with his live things. But the point is, with Michael, he was filling in for Penn and Teller when those guys were in Australia here recently, so he may have some opportunity in the future for a Vegas show.
I don't know what he wants to do, but
he has the opportunity to do it because he has the ability.
He really has the ability, and he's kind of perfect as a live entertainer because first of all, his audience is the world. You see teenagers on dates, and you see families, and you see every color. You see everybody at his shows. And so when I say perfect, I mean you just like this human being, and he delivers a show.
You can't pigeonhole him in any kind of a...
And you don't leave going, oh, we didn't get a show.
Yeah.
You got a real show, and you feel like you spent time with someone. Like, my big regrets are that, when I didn't have... when I was getting early in my career, I didn't have a lot of extra money. I didn't see people like Frank Sinatra. Oh, it's $100. I'm not going to spend $100. I could have seen Frank Sinatra. Well, you know what? I think people that see Michael Carbonaro live, they're going to keep that because it's just a good time. Mm-hmm. And you feel like he's a friend and he's spending time with you, but that's 2,000 people feeling that.
Yeah.
So, and I have nothing to do with his live show. So it's just really impressive to see him modulate that way.
I think I remember one time
TV and live.
when he was in Houston, and I saw you were just sitting in the audience. There we go and chatting for a while. You weren't behind the scene like with Matt Schnick and the other guys. I mean...
No. I'm a
there.
huge fan of Michael's, and I've seen him in all these different venues, and most people aren't as strong in every venue. I'm not saying he's the only person that can do that. I'm just saying it's a rarefied ability. Yeah.
So you've been enjoying this convention. We're going to wrap this up over here, but this has been a great convention. Had a lot of fun. We were talking about that.
My God. Yeah, total fun. And late at night, everyone's sort of hanging around, telling war stories. It's fantastic.
That's great. Thank you for everything that you've contributed. Your books are great, your tricks and everything, and I love the clear box. What was that with the clairvoyant?
Clarity box.
Clarity box.
Yeah.
Been using that for years. And other kinds of things I've got, with your pen, the magnet, and gosh, just very clever guys.
You gave the secret away, so we're going to have to. Look at this red light.
Okay. Hi, this is Scott Wells. We're here with David Regal. Okay, thanks very much. That was David Regal. Scotty out. So before Steve Beam starts his lecture, I thought we'd talk a little bit with Michael Bloemeke, who is one of the registrants right here, and is also a winner of close-up contest of the IBM. Hi there, Michael.
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. So do you come to the tricks very often?
Yes, every year. Obviously not 2020. I think 2017.
You've been here since the first one.
Yeah, not the first one. 2017, I think, was my first one. Around that time, maybe 2016. I think it was 2017.
Well, this is the 13th one, so...
The 13th total. Okay, so I've been here for... Yeah. I think I'm almost past the halfway point of I've been to more than I haven't.
Now, I mentioned that you were a winner then also at the IBM, and that was in Atlanta this last year that you had taken?
Yes, that was
in
close-up? July. Yeah, I did the close-up contest.
Is that junior or senior? Because it looks like you're kind of on the border. What are you?
No,
18
I'm 26.
26, okay.
So
you have a young look face. I hate you.
Thank you.
Young-looking guy.
I have terrible complection, which makes me look like a high schooler with bad acne.
No. You have all your hair, and it's dark, and that's one thing I admire. So I was at the convention, and I saw most of the acts, but I don't remember what was in your act.
I performed the cups and balls, although 6 other people perform the cups and balls.
That narrows it down.
Mine I used toy robot claws to kind of grab rather than using it with my hands. I pulled out these ridiculous plastic claws and I was moving the cups with those.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
something different.
Yeah, I wanted to do something that was absurd and ridiculous and kind of a joke and kind of parodying the cups and balls, but also actually being a good routine. So it is still the effect. It's not just one big joke. I do actually do the effects, and there is magical moments. A lot of people were fooled by it, but it's also a huge joke. And I like that balance that I was trying to go for.
Do you think that would be something that would be good enough to try and fool Penn and Teller and be on their show? Or
not fool them, but I was talking to Brent Braun last night, and I always say that I'm very worried about getting an inflated ego, so I don't want to be like, I won a contest. I'm going to go and fool us. But I've had people make comments about it, and it is original, and I was like, Brent, is this something that you think? I believe he said, if I work on it with him and shorten it up, because it's longer, he needs to be much shorter for TV, so shorten it up, clean it up a little bit, he said about 90% chance he can get me on TV. So he said very, very likely I can get on Fool Us.
Wow.
0% chance of fooling them, unless I come up with something genius, which I'm not going to bother with that right now. Maybe if I perfect everything and I have some time, sure, why not brainstorm? But as of right now, it's basically just cups and balls, but it is very original, a lot of humor, and also it's TV. So as much as I want to do it for magicians and for Penn and Teller, I'm doing it for the audience, for lay people, and lay people don't know cups and balls. They're going to be amazed and completely fooled by even the most basic routine.
I think that's what they're looking for, exactly. That's what Mike Close would probably say. We've got, they try to minimize cards, but he said still people are coming in, but they've only had like about 30% cards. They have like anything else, because everybody comes to them with cards. So if you have something original and unique, whether or not it's going to fool them, in fact, Michael at the last minute might say, well, if you switch this might fool the boys, or something.
And I'll always brainstorm that, but right now I think the getting on is the big thing. That's what everyone says is it'd be great to fool them, but getting on is the big thing everyone says.
What about AGT? Have you ever thought about auditioning for that?
People make comments about that. A lot of lay people make comments about that because you can do I feel like you can do kind of a not a very good card trick, and people are like, you should go on America's Got Talent. But even still, people make comments about that where if I got on Fool Us, then I think that would be a much more reasonable, maybe I could try to do this. And especially working with Brent, I know Brent does a lot of stuff with Fool Us and AGT, and he's, I think, coached and personally mentored the guy who won recently and is doing something now. So I would definitely reach out to Brent again, because I've heard nothing but great things about him.
Brent is the guy, I think, as far as consulting goes for television, and I would highly recommend him. So you're hooked up with the right fellow. Another one comes to mind, of course, would be talking with Gabe Blackstone about Masters of Illusion, possibly, because they're always looking for young people and something unique. And
honestly, I'm at the point now where I am happy to take literally anything. I am very recent. I've come to this convention enough to start recognizing people and get a little bit of just recognition, just from simply familiarity. People started to know me and kind of just my style of stuff. And then I won 1 or 2 smaller competitions. And then the IBM is the one that really was okay, now I kind of feel a little bit more legitimate.
Yeah.
So now it's I really want to keep the momentum going and go and Fool Us and go on all these things. So Master of Illusion is something that I haven't thought about or talked to anyone about specifically, but I would be 100% on board with trying to do something like that and reaching out.
What are your goals or aspirations right now as far as next year or 5 years from now?
So right now, as I said, the number one thing I want to focus on is Fool Us and see if I can do that. So I'm putting all my time and energy into my cups and balls to clean that up as best as I can. So I believe the auditions should start very soon, and then filming would be in the summer. So I want to do that. I want to try to get to 4F in April.
No chance of that. Because it's the 50th and everybody's trying to get in. They've got a list longer than my arm.
So I'll have to
maybe
reach
51.
out. I'll have to reach out and try to play the I won the contest card, but if I can't, then next year hopefully. So that's that. Long term is I just want to do it all and become. I really love magic, and I want to, I guess, be the best that I can be, and really
doing it full time.
I don't think, and if I ever got to the point where I could easily make a ton of money doing it full time, then sure, why not? But right now, I don't think I want to do it full time. I'm still trying to build up a solid side hustle and do it semi-professionally. And I think
restaurants and stuff?
I don't do a lot of restaurants. I don't have the luxury of turning anything down too much right now because I haven't done a lot of gigs and I'm still very new to the professional world. But what I like doing is I want to do more shows. Here's my hour-long sit-down scripted set, start to finish. But I have done some kind of walk around, here's a little cookout type area with people mingling and go walk around, do that kind of stuff. I've done some of that in a couple of shows. So I haven't done restaurant stuff, and I would be interested in that's very new to me. So I have not yet, but who knows?
There we go. Well, Michael, thanks very much. Good talking to you, and good luck to you, too.
Yeah, thank you. You too. I enjoyed it.
So those of you who are listening out there, wish him luck, and perhaps we'll see you on Foolish this year.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the goal.
That's Michael Bloemeke. This is Scotty out. Thank you. So we just completed the last lecture of the afternoon, I guess it is. No, it's not. We got one more with Jackie Hughes coming up. Yeah. Well, we just had Gregory Wilson, which was fantastic. I'm sitting here with Rick and Susan Wilcox. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Thank you.
Hi, nice to be here.
So, did you guys drive or fly down from the
We were
Dells?
going to drive, but we had just been here in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and we drove down, so we decided to fly.
Okay.
Yep.
So you were in Atlanta? Were you performing in Atlanta then, or what were you doing?
Visiting friends and family and taking a little time off.
Yep. Just having some fun once in a while.
Because your season ended when? In September? The Wisconsin Dells?
Our last one was in the end of October.
Okay. Yeah. And how many shows do you... were you still working like
six? Not necessarily ended. We still have some in we have some in November and December, but not on a regular basis.
And you have the holiday shows too, don't you, that you normally do?
Yep, right around Christmas time.
Because I remember I thought you had like the appearing fireplace or something. Is that right?
For autographs.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where we would appear through
After
the
the
fireplace,
show.
yes.
Yes.
Right.
But now we're doing actually something a little bit different. After the show, we come out and we take questions. So people can ask us, so how many things have happened over the last 25 years? We have so many stories. So it's different for us every night.
Yeah.
And we give the audience, we answer their questions with some real fun stories.
Do you do that out in the lobby or from the stage?
No, we do it right from the stage.
It's great. It's we had the idea because I knew Carol Burnett did it years and years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And during COVID, we wanted to still talk with the audience, but we didn't want to sign autographs at the time. And it's just become really great. Even now, we've continued just answering their questions.
It's kind of like a VIP experience for the customers, but we don't charge anything for it, and we enjoy it, and they enjoy it, and they tell us how much they enjoy it. Some people say they enjoy it just as much as the show, which is great.
So obviously the question would be, what are some of the most interesting questions that you've been asked?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people ask, hey, has anything ever gone wrong? And, of course it has. And so we have many, many, many stories of things that are funny.
Your best story being what?
Best story.
Gosh. We've fallen off the stage together at a corporate event.
Both
of us
together.
Yeah, because the stage wasn't as wide as what we were used to.
Uh-huh.
And so we do this little choreography thing, and then it just wasn't as wide. And when I went to catch her, I was stepping off the stage, and we both fell off.
Yes, that hurt. That was our first trick. That's how we started the show for 2,000 people.
Another time was kind of funny. This particular incident, we were entertaining for Chick-fil-A, and in Miami at the Fontainebleau, and huge audience, and I was doing the guillotine trick, and I smashed my finger down on the stocks, and it got stuck in between, and my fingers immediately swelled up. Middle finger swelled up. And from there, I had to go in, and so audience, I think they saw that. Maybe they didn't, but I just pretended like it didn't hurt. Mm-hmm. But it did. Next effect I went into was Daryl's 3 rope routine. And so I had to do this rope routine without the use of my middle finger. So my middle finger, and this is a Christian organization that we were performing for, was sticking straight up.
The whole time?
While I was doing the rope trick, I was giving him the finger.
Oh, my.
And I had to explain to the audience, excuse me, I smashed my finger on the... Well, then from there, I went into... the Wakeling song, and sometimes we do little costume changes in between. And so I did a costume change. I don't know if I changed my shirt or whatever I did, but when I was doing the Wakeling song, I cut Susan in half, and they had the big IMAX screens, so the cameras were zooming in. And
dramatic moment.
Right, dramatic moment, because I opened the doors, and show that I split it in half, and they're zooming in, and the routine before, because I hurt my finger, I didn't zip up my zipper.
Oh, okay.
So they're zooming in. My fly is wide open. We hear the camera guy saying, "Go switch to camera 2, switch to camera 2." And I look in the cameras, and the audience is laughing, and oh gosh, that was, just one thing after another.
Right. So we have dozens of stories like that when the audience asks if anything messes up during the show, or They have all sorts of questions.
Well, that's a good idea, I think, after the show, because it really endears you even more and personalizes you and humanizes you, I guess I'm trying to say, that way then as well.
Yeah, and so a lot of times they'll say, well, what happened, does
anything
anything
go
ever go wrong
tonight?
in the show? And we say, of course, almost every night.
Right.
What went wrong tonight? We say, we tell the audience tomorrow what went wrong tonight.
Right.
For those of you who are listening, by the way, you might be thinking, okay, well, who is Rick Wilcox? Well, Rick, of course, has had a show, he and Susan, up in the Wisconsin Dells for how many years
This
now?
is the 25th season.
This will be our 25th summer coming up.
And you have your own theater that you had built and developed, and continue to improve on that also. It was an amazing showroom.
Every year we try to fix it up and do something new.
525 seats.
And you've been the number one on TripAdvisor for years, right?
Yes.
Yes, we have. We got some great reviews.
Since about 2010, since TripAdvisor opened, really.
When you stop and think about how many things and attractions there are, particularly in and around the Wisconsin Dells, and for you to consistently be number one, it's just amazing. So that's congratulations on that.
Thank you.
There's still a lot of people that haven't seen the show, and
you come to see that,
and they're coming to see it.
Yeah.
And
I
they're
went way out of my way to see it.
Oh, that's nice. And it's nice that they say, I can't believe that all these years we wanted to come, and we finally came, and we're sorry that we didn't come sooner, and we'll definitely be back, which is nice to hear.
Very nice.
So, but yeah, we're excited about this year. We have a couple new things that we're working on, and just talking about them are exciting, but performing them will even be better.
And another thing is the fact that you guys are illusionists, and this is a close-up convention. And I remember when we first started talking at the 4F convention, that was one of my first questions I was asking. You said, you're a stage guy. What do you do? But then, of course, once I've seen your show and you had the big screen, I mean, you're awesome. You have great skills with close-up as well as not just a passion for it, but you do it all very well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Rick was doing some tricks for a couple guys last night at this convention, and they said, oh, you're not just a stage guy. He was doing the Pharaoh Shuffle, and they go, oh, you're not a stage guy.
Yeah, no, I did close-up before I did stage. The reason I got into stage is because there were bigger audiences, and they didn't have the screens back when I was doing it, so I had to learn the stage, and then just more and more people, so I was just prepared to do whatever. So, but I still do the close-up, I still do the trade shows, and I still have a close-up show that we do, and I still get hired to do walk-around magic. I still love close-up.
And you're still learning close-up every day.
Every day. Always working on something.
So is this your first convention for TRICS, or have you been here many times in the past?
Scott has been asking me to come to this convention for years, and finally I said, I'm coming this year. And he goes, yeah, right. And here we are.
So this is your first time this year,
yeah,
then?
First time.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I'm glad we're talking, because last year, same thing with me. Every year he's always saying, hey, you ought to come. Yeah. Last year was my first year, and it's like, I'm coming back next year. And I'm already coming back. I'm registered for next year as well. So, So what are your thoughts?
I think it's a great convention. I love all magic conventions, and when there's good magic, it's hard not to come back.
I think the format is really good because it's a smaller convention, and everybody's really has been very warm and welcoming. And for me, I like that we're sitting outside right now. It's great. And usually a convention is in a big ballroom, and it's hard to get outside and have some fun.
You never know this time of the year up here, and I say up here, it depends if you're in Florida or wherever, as far as being in Charlotte, because there have been, from when I was talking with Charlie Randall, he said in years past, there has been snow and ice, and you can't walk outside. It's freezing cold. Oh. I don't know, climate change, things have changed, and, it seems like perfect fall weather, as you say. We're sitting outside. I had lunch sitting on the veranda in the sun yesterday with Dexter Cleveland. I mean, it was just nice and sunny, and here we got a little bit of overcast, but even still, it's probably, 74 degrees? I mean, it's perfect out here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
It's a nice place, nice location, a lot of fun. What have you seen or done, I'll ask each of you this question, either in the lobby or someone performing or lecturing that has impressed you so far? What's the first thing comes to mind?
We just saw Gregory Wilson. He's always a favorite. Yeah.
He's an awesome performer in all of his magic. Gregory Wilson's stuff is just, awesome. And when he comes to visit us, which he's come several times, it's, he's usually passing through. The last time he came, he said, I'm just passing through. I'm going to stop over and see the show. Mm-hmm. And he ended up staying for 4 days because we started talking about magic and brainstorming. And he just has so many ideas. And they just, next thing you know, it's dinner time. We're at dinner. We're just 1 o'clock. And then, we're playing ping pong. The next day, we're working on more tricks. And he's just come up with some really fun ideas for us. And some of them we haven't tried, but some of them, I'll just tell you one, which was an awesome it's just we do it in the show still. Not every show, because we do different shows to keep it fresh for ourselves. Even this last summer, we had 2 different shows. The audience doesn't know that, but to keep it fresh for us, we do that. Well, one of the shows that we do the floating ball,
which is I was about to say my favorite. You show me the floating ball.
Yeah, it's a great trick.
It is, and you
it's
do
so
well.
cool to see it live, but I wanted to have something more, and when I showed it to Greg, he goes, it's a great trick, but he goes, you got to try this. At the end of the trick, explain to them, because I explained to him, I said, sometimes how a trick works is just as good as the trick itself. But in this case, how it works is as good as the trick itself. And you can explain to the audience that particular situation and explain to them how it works. And you say, and then he said, you tell them that it's the music. It puts them in a hypnotic trance. And because of that, it doesn't allow them to see what really happens. But I'm going to take you out of the trance. I snap my fingers. I take the audience out of the trance. The music starts again. And we go back to the, because at the end of the trick, the ball floats into a box.
Right.
So the music starts up again. Music comes back on. And then the box opens up. And somebody from the back behind the Mylar curtain comes out dressed up in a Mylar curtain.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And they go in and they reach in and they float the ball up in the air. And, it's so ridiculous, but it's so funny, visually funny of this person picking up the ball and the audience thinks, no, could that be? And,
the audience loves it. It's super funny.
They are just laughing out loud. So it's such a beautiful, cool trick that fools the heck out of people, and then they get to laugh, which I love, because I love the entertainment part.
The other performer I really enjoyed, who was really tight, it was Terry Ward.
Oh yeah,
he's such a pro, and he's got it all figured out, and the moves, and his hands, and his character, and he fooled me.
Yeah, and he's just he's been doing it at Disney for 30 years, and now he's working somewhere else, and he's just honed his routines.
Right.
And if you ever want to do the shell game, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky he was teaching right out here. He was going over that with me, because I'd like to learn that. I'm always
and his
wanting
classic force is so good then also, and his routine, he's got it all down. Well, listen, thank you guys very much. Always good to chat with you and spend some time, and glad you're enjoying this as much as I am and everybody else. This is fun.
Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Rick and Susan Wilcox. Scotty out. We just finished the afternoon show. I was just talking, as you just heard, with Rick and Susan Wilcox, and I'm here with someone who was a performer. I should say going to be a performer tonight. He was also a lecturer, and he was also in the Insights as part of the event, which is kind of like a little TED Talk thing, which talked about how to get a standing ovation. Here he is, my friend and yours, Boris Wilde. Hey, Boris.
Hey, Scott. Good to see you again.
And you as well, here in the United States. I think last time when I was in Paris for my birthday last year.
Exactly, yes. And I'm happy to be back here at TRICS, because last year I couldn't make it. Borders were still close to me, but here I am back after 3 years. So glad to see you and my friends.
And now that you're married, is Tiffany going to be moving over, or what's the status on
Yes,
that?
that's the status. Yeah, she'll be moving in January. Mm-hmm. So yes, we're both performers, so we're going to have lots of work to do in November, December. So moving is not, such a big move, especially it's not the best moment of the year to do it in November, December. But yes, that's the plan. She's going to move to France.
So she got work here and you got work over there, so you're going to be still apart for a month or two while you're performing, or are you both in the same place performing?
Well, yes, we're going to, I'm still going to perform in the US, of course, and now we just came back from France, where she was performing and I was emceeing the big stage show at the French National Championship, the National Convention. So there were 1,000 people in the room.
Yep.
So that was a big thing. So and then she was performing there. So that's great, because now people could see her perform in France, and the plan is that she's going to perform our show too. So basically, yes, she's going to perform in France and still in the US. I'm still performing in France, and I'm still coming to the US to perform too. So we're going to now travel together and just perform, places.
And for those who don't know, that Tiffany does a Georgia Magnet type of routine. In which
yes, absolutely, yes. Tiffany and Georgia Wonder, and she has this wonderful act that is unusual. So that's also in France, something that they've never seen before.
Right.
So it was really cool to introduce it.
Well
received.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah.
I do recall. I apologize. We actually were in Quebec I forget, for FISM, my gosh.
Oh yeah, that's true. We see. I mean, there's so many places. Of course, there was France, there was Quebec, and now it's Charlotte. I mean, can't keep track of all the places. That's world
right.
traveler life.
That's right. This convention is a lot of fun, and this is not the first time you've been at TRICS.
Yeah, no, it's my very first time at TRICS was in 2017. That's where I met Tiffany, of course.
A coincidence.
Yes, and so I've been coming like pretty much every year until 2019. 2020 was cancelled. 2021 I couldn't make it because borders. But yeah, I'm back here in 2022 and happy to lecture and MC the show tonight. That's going to be fun.
Somebody asked me about where Tiffany is from. I said, well, she's from Charlotte, so I thought that she lived in Virginia. Is she from Charlotte or Virginia, just to correct that?
She's originally from Virginia. That's where her family, and that's where she was born, and then she moved to Charlotte. I mean, she was like in North Carolina and South Carolina.
So we're both right.
But yes, absolutely. But she moved to Charlotte also because she's part of Slide Club, and that was just a little easier also for work and to be closer to the club.
And so for tonight's show, you're going to be emceeing the show. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
You do know who else is going to be on the bill.
Yes, so tonight we're going to have Terry Ward, and then we are going to have Brian Sain from Charlotte, and then it's going to be Gregor Wilson from Los Angeles, Michelle Watt from Montreal, then David Regal, so from LA, and Jackie Yu from Vegas. So that's the 6 performers. So that's going to be a pretty solid lineup.
That will be. It sounds like we may still be here tomorrow.
Probably yes. I mean, yeah, and who will complain?
Nobody. No. We'll be until after midnight and we'll still be wanting more.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Not to mention the sessions after night, yeah.
And this is going to be great because, again, they open this up to the public and they sell public seats in there. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun for the performers, and that's what happened also at the National French Convention last weekend. Yes, because there were like 700 magicians and 300 lay people, and tonight I think it's going to be, going to be less people, of course, like 200 people, but like a nice percentage of lay people, so we can have like the genuine reactions, and we know they enjoy.
I want to ask just briefly for you to summarize what you'd said about how to get a standing ovation, and to say that to me, one of the things was not to ask for it necessarily.
Oh, yes.
But it's throughout your whole show. It's not the end. It's something that you kind of build up and you get a sense for.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I did this talk in the inside about standing ovation because I've been really studying those techniques for a long time. Those techniques are studied by all performers, like in theater and everything. The idea is not to be like, oh, I have a standing ovation just to have a standing ovation. It's just also because if you are booked somewhere and if you manage to have a standing ovation at the end, of course, the person who booked you would be super happy to see, that everybody is just enjoying their time up to a point that, they want to give you a standing ovation at the end. So I think it's good. It's also nice to talk about that topic because most people will be like, okay, so whenever you finish with your show, what do you do to get standing ovation? Like, you don't do anything at that time because it's too late.
That's right.
You have to work from the beginning of your show just to think of, okay, well, it sounds like it's a nice crowd and it's a good night, good atmosphere, and if I have good energy, I feel like maybe at the end I can end up with something that can lead to a standing ovation if they enjoyed it. And so I was just talking about what you should do during your entire performance to prepare the people and like giving them signals and just basically giving them the permission to stand up, because it's not something easy to stand up in a theater, and it's not something natural. I mean, we're all sitting, watching in the same way a performer on stage, and suddenly, why would you want to, stand up and just clap? And most people would not do that. They would be afraid just to be by themselves, or just like 2 people only, and be like, all right, okay, I'm sitting down again. But no, it's just create that wave effect, so you get like a full standing ovation. But there are techniques, honestly, to do that, and actors in theater plays, they sort of work on that, because they want to have great reviews, the next day in the newspaper, and then be like, they all get standing ovations every night, blah, blah, blah. So as a magician, that's something you need to work on too, just like any other performer.
And that was written up in the 3rd edition of the TRICS thing.
Absolutely, yes. The 3rd book of TRICS convention has just been released. Tiffany wrote it, so that's great. That was a good project for her. And yes, I wrote a full essay on standing ovation in the book. And so I hope, people would just...
They're available. If you want to write me, I can put you in touch with Scott Robinson, or just get in touch with him directly, and he can
Absolutely.
get I think, was it Chris
Chris Haga. Yeah, Chris Haga just, released it. Also published it, yes.
Yeah, WondercraftCars.com. Maybe that's the place to go.
Exactly, yes. Mm-hmm. So, if you're ever interested, yes, you get contributions for, performer. I told earlier, the list of performers of the show tonight, so it's pretty solid lineup, and everybody contributed to the book, so you're in for a treat if you get the book.
Do you get a kind of a feeling then also that this is like a early kind of 4F type of a convention as far as being a family and young people and creativity and the vibe?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we have I heard there were lots of newcomers here this year, but also friends I know that have never been to TRICS before, and they were asking me before about, TRICS, of course, because that's where you met Tiffany. Yes, of course. How did you enjoy the conferences? That's probably one of my all-time favorite conventions with 4F, because it has the same family vibes as 4F. Is people, it's big enough so they're we can fill the room here, but it's small enough so everybody's name, and you can spend some time sessioning at night, etc. Unlike some conventions where after the last event everybody go back to their room and that's it. But here, no, it's just magic all night, very friendly, and that's something that you can.
They don't have any free beer, but they got free sodas, and cookies,
exactly,
and brownies,
yes.
and pizza, and everything.
Absolutely, yes. And so that's also, I think, a reason why people like to stay in the lobby and session and talk, because it's just like 4F. That's this family spirit that you can find here, and I think that's why TRICS is such a popular convention. Yeah.
Yep. You guys want to think about registering for next year?
Absolutely.
That's right. It's fun. Thanks. I appreciate this.
Of course, Scott. Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So for the Magic Word podcast, that was Boris Wild. This is Scotty out. TRICS 2022, the 13th edition, the purple edition, is now history, and it's over. We started off the convention talking with the organizer over here, Mr. Scott Robinson, and I thought it would be a good way to kind of do a wrap over here with him as well, now that you're taking a deep sigh of relief.
I am taking a deep sigh. It is over, and I thought it was good.
Oh, it was beyond good. This was. There were a couple people I talked with who were first-timers. So you said there were, 40-some people?
There was 41 first-timers this year.
And so I talked with a few of those, and they said, I'm coming back.
Oh, that's what you want to hear. That repeats matter, and
right.
I think the quality was so consistent of the lectures were so consistent. I thought we had enough special things that we did, from the thing you posted with my friend Billy Hake with his story to the TRICS. New TRICS deck and things. So I thought we had some good mix of what you would expect and a few unknowns.
And some other things were unexpected to me. The cookies, I thought they were very special with the TRICS logo.
Yeah, so we have some pins. We got those pins that were TRICS pins. Yeah. And my wife decided to get cookies made with the logo of that logo. So I thought it was a cool touch.
Yeah. Plus some other things like we talked about from 4F before, where you kind of get some food, and you did have food, and you had sodas and everything for us.
We did pizza. We did, we had breakfast in the morning and all that stuff.
So very cool. Well, this afternoon we did have Gregory Wilson's lecture, which was great. For those of you who have seen Gregory in the past, it's just his excitement and his enthusiasm, whether you've seen his show or not. He's still selling out everything he brought.
It was great. It was, you're sat there and you watch people, right? That have seen them before, have seen a bunch of these folks before, and just the amazement and the excitement, and watching magicians be childlike for a little bit is great.
And then Jackie Yu then also did a great job.
Jackie Yu crushed them.
Yes,
right, didn't he?
He bookended this year for me, because I saw him first of all at Magi Fest, and now bookended the end of the year, seeing him here.
But wasn't it interesting seeing him in such a close environment?
Yes.
It was. I just thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, literally I was feet away from him there. Yeah.
It was. That's what I love about this. It's so intimate. You're right there.
Yes.
We have lay people that come to the convention. They don't come to the convention. They come
Saturday show.
They come to Saturday, but we have some that come on Friday nights because they know we're going to be out in the lobby doing magic.
Oh, really?
So they come and hang out and drink wine and stuff, and spend the night here, and then come to the show the next day.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Speaking of tonight's show, we had Boris Wilde, who acted as our pilot.
Yeah, it was awesome. He basically took us on a magical trip from city to city, and it was great with sound effects.
Yes.
Yeah,
music and sound effects when everybody was brought in. And the people who were on the bill, let's see if I can try
first
to remember.
Was Terry Ward was first.
Yes.
I don't have enough. Can I talk about Terry a little bit?
I was going to say, please.
So Terry won 2 awards this year. Mm-hmm. We give out a number of different awards. One is voted on by the members here. Everyone attending. We call
most valuable performer.
We call it the Woody Landers Most Valuable Participant. And people vote on who makes it special. And Terry
by a landslide.
By a landslide. No, it's never that way. Mm-hmm. It was a landslide. And then I found out through the grapevine that Terry was doing good work during COVID, helping other performers who were out of work. And he was out of work at the same time. And he was putting together care packages, making sure people could pay their rent, making sure people were eating. And I heard about that and decided we do something called the Shine Your Way Award, which is our award to try to highlight people doing real human things for other humans, right? Mm-hmm. And he won that as well. And me and my wife were so happy to give it to him because that's just not stuff you hear a lot. Yeah, right. It was great.
Is that Shine the Way Award something that you and Janice, your wife,
and Janet put together? Okay. So it's always for people that have done something for
the community,
for the community. Yeah. Sometimes it's individual, but they've stepped outside of what they have to do. And they did something because they wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And then Steve Bean was a guest of honor, and we we recognized him as well. So we had Terry Ward, then we had, who was second? Sorry, it's a blur to me.
Nope, I understand.
Brian Saint,
had Brian
local
Saint,
guy.
That's right.
Yep.
And, he did a great job and was very interactive with the people and his telephone call and everything that he made that was fun. And then I think it was Gregory
Wilson closed the first half.
Yes.
Doing his con man bit.
Yeah, he did his con man show.
Yeah.
So it wasn't magic and cards and everything.
No, it was different, and the audience loved him.
Right.
Then we had a little intermission.
Yep. And then we had a chance to go to the President's Club and break like we would, when you're on a flight, and have a layover someplace. Yeah. So during a layover, we went out and had a cocktail, came back in, and then we started off with Michelle What?
Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Very commercial act. Mm-hmm. The regular audience absolutely loved him. They fell in love with them. Who was after that? David Regal. How can I forget David Regal? And David Regal, that prediction thing he did, which was a comical deck type thing, was really good. Really.
Are you talking about the one where they had the 4 people?
No, where he put
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
where he put with the hole punch and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. These guys are going, what the heck are they talking about?
But he basically had a card selected, and then he had a hole punch, and then they had this lady wear it around her neck, basically.
And
she signed the back of it, and then he had another guy select a card, and the card, apparently they were all the same card, but then the card he selected, the same McComical
was it like McComical deck?
So he had a different card. He said, wait a minute. And then when he went over, the card that he had punched was hanging around the lady's neck that was signed was...
Yeah, and he never came nearer.
Never came nearer.
Right, it was great. It was great. I was kind of surprised. And then closing the show was Jackie Yu. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say, man. My wife loves him. Yeah, she's like, that is the best.
He has an infectious laugh, doesn't he?
He is so infectious. Yeah. And his magic is...
original, creative.
He takes these things we know...
Like an egg bag.
Yeah, and twists the heck out of it. Mm-hmm. And it was just... everything he did was great. I love his blinking ring routines. I just think it's great.
It was the ninja ring.
Kind of ninja ring with a few... Jackie Yu things thrown in, but it was fantastic. His lecture was great. Mm-hmm. So I thought the show was good.
Overall, just a whole great weekend package. I think that everybody had enjoyed, and there were a lot of little different things that you had added, as you said, that kind of were unexpected along the way. So it was just a lot of fun for everybody, all the registrants.
Awesome.
So good job.
Thank you. And
also the Slight Club, all the guys who helped me.
They're incredible, aren't they? Yeah, they're incredible. So you coming back again?
Since I won a golden ticket.
Oh, you did. You must.
And I am coming back next year. I got a golden ticket.
That's the only reason, Scott.
No. I was going to line up with my money, be one of the first people and say, well, hey, I got a ticket. I'm coming back for sure. So,
awesome.
Yeah, of course I'm coming back.
Thank you for all the support.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Glad that we can help with Magic Word, and I hope that as people are listening to the Word, that they will also think about coming back next year.
I hope they do.
It's a difficult weekend because it's the same weekend as the Daytona Magic, and NEMCA was having the Yankee Gathering gathering. So there was a lot to choose from.
But that one's every other year.
It's every other year.
I think the Yankee Gatherings every other year is what Steve told me.
Okay.
Because Beam was wanting to go, but he came here, of course.
Well, come on, you'll come. We'll make you the guest of honor if you'll come.
Yeah, and me and Harry's convention are so different.
Yes, they are.
That's not, it's very different. But I know there's a lot of collectors and historians that would like to go to that. So hopefully they'll call me up and we can talk about how to make it good for all of us.
Funny thing now I think about that all three of those are on the East Coast.
Yep.
And so we had a lot of people who were regional. I was talking with a fellow who was sitting next to me, and he only drove like 23 minutes to get here or so.
Yeah.
And others obviously flown across the country or like Boris all the way from France.
We had a bunch of people from California.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
A lot of people. I think we had over 12 people from California, which is, for 160 people, that's a large percentage for coming that far.
Yeah.
So, it's great.
And were there many from Canada, aside from Michelle? Or
2 from Canada, counting Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So. Overall, the international convention, international
there
stars.
You go. We could say that.
That's right. Not just a regional convention anymore. You guys are nationwide and worldwide. So again, Scott Robinson, thank you guys. Thank you and everybody for putting together. And got to give Janice, your wife, a big hug and a big thank you for everything, putting up with all this and the time it's taken for you to do this.
Yeah, she's a big part of it.
Yeah,
so.
I know. It's over the Magic Word Podcast. And from Charlotte, North Carolina, from TRICS, I think that's a good way to wrap up. That's my buddy there, Scott Robinson. And so this is Scotty's Out.
Scotty's out.